I'm Golan Levin. I'm a new media artist and a professor at Carnegie Mellon University in the United States. My first works were not open sourced, and I think that was a mistake. I think that I should have seen coming the present sooner than I did, in which a world is built from people sharing work with each other. Obviously, there's some things that are really dangerous that probably shouldn't be open sourced. We can think of plenty of dangerous things, but in terms of the arts and culture, arts and culture are necessarily a situation of people responding to each other. We're in a great cultural dialogue, and open sourcing facilitates that. Also, it means that we can all move culture forward faster by sharing our results and by building on the shoulders of giants and also of each other. People who believe that open sourcing something will limit their income stream, okay, are not thinking the right way about how to economize and make money from what they're doing. I don't make a distinction between what is design and what is art. I mean, if one had to make a distinction, one could maybe say, who is the client? Is the client somebody else, or is the client yourself? In terms of whose problems are you solving? Are you coming up with and inventing your own problems? People often call that art. Are you solving someone else's problems? People often call that design. But there's a problem even with what I just said, because design isn't simply problem solving. You know, if you have a problem with your tooth, you go to a dentist, you know, and he solves your problems. But design is not always about problem solving. It's as much about invention as it is about anything, and identifying new kinds of problems as well. Maybe the difference is between what is functional and what is expressive, but I know plenty of really expressive design and plenty of really functional art. So I don't tend to make a distinction, and I even have problems in the very school in which I teach, where they've made a department of design and a department of art. It's not a division that I think is productive. Harold Cohen is a computer artist for decades who has had a piece of software called Aaron, which is a piece of software that generates paintings and so forth. He's one of the first generation of digital artists. You could consider Aaron to be a computer who is an artist. So I would say it's already existed for many years. I'd say it's a very exciting time to work in culture, because there are new tools that are free often, free software tools, open source tools, that can allow you to make new culture in powerful ways. So I would encourage young people to not be intimidated about making their own software. It's never been easier to make one's own software, to participate in the dialogue around us, to recognize that so much of how we make new culture now is by the creation of new software systems, and to recognize that to engage in the culture of our time, we need to work with the medium of our time, which involves software. It could involve software and painting, or software and violin, but you know, I think software plays a significant role in how we can create new culture now, and how we can better adapt to it. And doing so has never been easier. You know, 30 years ago, if you wanted to be a computer artist, you had to work in a laboratory with a machine the size of this room. Nowadays, you just need a laptop, and there's very inexpensive ones out there. So you can, you know, be a nomad and have a laptop and live in a cafe, and you can make new work that can change the world. Another thing I would say is, and I think many young people are aware of this, but it's nice to re-emphasize, is it's never been easier to work without an intermediary. Through a process of disintermediation, it's no longer relevant to have a record label or a publishing house. You know, if you make music, you can just put it out there. If you make a book, you can put it on Blurb or Lulu or any of these other sites where you can sort of self-publish and have print on demand, where people can purchase your book, you know, from a print on demand service. Likewise, you know, you can make an app and put it on the Apple App Store, or, you know, Android Store, and so forth, and release software to people that hundreds of thousands of people can enjoy, if it's well designed, if it's creative and interesting. Okay. So there's still these intermediaries in a certain sense, but The intermediaries exist to help you economically. The intermediaries don't exist to make a judgment about, what is good or what is bad, what is worth publishing and what is not. That said, one can still, if the work succeeds or fails in the marketplace, it might be for a lack of editing. It might be, because it could benefit from the touch of an editor or the touch of a critic, right? So getting critique may be harder than ever, other than the pure feedback of nobody's buying my book, The future in 20 years. Okay, sure. Well, we're probably looking at a number of different kinds of catastrophes all happening at the same time. First, ecological catastrophe. We hit peak oil in 2005. So from now on, the price of oil is going to be increasing parabolically. Okay? Secondly, superbugs, okay, which are basically penicillin resistant and other kinds of pharmacologically resistant bacteria, and new forms of viruses like bird flu and other kinds of viruses for which we have no defenses, transferring from, let's say, from bats and sheep and pigs, okay, in industrial farming over to people. So we're looking at a situation where we might have some really terrific viruses against which we have no defense, and the moment they become something that can be transmitted from people to people, we're going to see some really massive epidemics that might decimate populations by 30%. Moreover, Carrington effect is when a huge coronal mass ejection comes out of the sun. Okay, it's basically a massive outburst of plasma from the sun, which can destroy electrical grids on Earth. Okay, the destruction of electrical grids on Earth. This has only happened once before in human recording. It was 1850 when there was a Carrington event, but it hasn't happened since. But we've been very lucky. But the electrical grid is not defended against such a big ejection of plasma from the sun. If it happens, and it could happen at any time, then it'll destroy electrical grids around the world, usually for which there's no backup systems. You could be in a situation from which bootstrapping the electrical system is impossible because it's out everywhere, and you could plunge electrical systems into sort of permanent states of disruption that could last for 6 months to a year. Imagine if no electricity for 6 months to a year. Pretty bad. I'm still kind of worried about some of the kinds of nuclear meltdown things that like what we just saw last year in Japan. This is Japan, this kind of thing was unthinkable. A nuclear accident in Japan, but it happened. And a lot of the nuclear facilities around the world are similarly rusting and aging and not so invulnerable as people thought. And finally, just the ecological catastrophe of global warming, where we're probably going to have 2 degrees centigrade warmer before the end of the century. So you're going to have mass droughts, wildfires, changing climates around the world, and huge extinctions and migrations of millions of people, water shortages, and war. You can't even make a digital art piece today that can survive 2 years, right? I mean, suddenly it no longer works, right? It's either error 404, it's down, or it's written in shockwave and it doesn't work anymore. I mean, easy. No, I mean, what I mean is that art, you said, what is the role of art, in a world of such catastrophe? And if it has a role at all, it's to make our suffering seem like it's possibly worth something, if at all.